Today, we're jumping into one of the biggest and most important pivots in all of music history. How soul music, the sound of romance, became the sound of resistance. No, seriously, think about it for a second. When I say the words soul music, what's the very first sound that pops into your head? Is it a super smooth voice, a killer horn section, maybe some perfectly synchronized dance moves? I'm willing to bet your mind went straight to the mid-1960s Motown sound. You know, the world of My Girl and Baby Love. And that makes sense. This was music that was designed from the ground up to be universal, aspirational, and above all, romantic. It was brilliantly packaged as the sound of young America. But what happens when that glossy, picture-perfect dream starts to crack under the pressure of real-world events? The kind of headlines you just can't ignore. Well, the music has no choice but to change right along with it. This shift wasn't just some artistic whim for soul musicians. Nope, it became a cultural necessity. The music of the heart had to start speaking to what was happening out on the street. So what exactly was going on that was so powerful it could literally change the DNA of an entire genre of music? Let's get into the catalysts. By the late 60s and early 70s, the optimism of the early civil rights era was facing some serious trauma. The Vietnam War was raging, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. left this huge wound, and you could see the decay in major urban centers. In that kind of world, singing about holding hands started to feel, well, completely out of touch, when reality was about holding protest signs. This led to an absolutely brilliant strategy. Artists started using the groove itself as a kind of Trojan horse. You see, the beat was so good, so infectious, you just had to dance to it. And that irresistible beat carried these radical, challenging messages about frustration and survival right into the mainstream, past the gatekeepers and straight onto the dance floor. Now, there were three titans in particular who really led this charge. And in the process, they didn't just write a few new songs. They completely rewrote the rules for what a pop star could even be. First up, Marvin Gaye. For years, he was Motown's undisputed Prince of Love. You know the image, the smooth, tuxedo-wearing singer crooning one romantic hit after another. But as the world was changing around him, he was changing too. And then, all of a sudden, the man who sang about sweet nothings was singing about picket lines and picket signs. The shift was just massive. He wasn't just singing about a broken heart anymore. He was singing about a broken society. And his 1971 masterpiece, What's Going On, was the rebellion made real. He completely shattered Motown's strict no politics rule. He broke out of that polished performer mold to sing about war, police brutality, and even the environment. He became a truth teller. He mastered that Trojan horse concept, wrapping these urgent, tough messages in these beautiful, lush arrangements that you just couldn't turn away from. Okay, next up is Curtis Mayfield. Now, if Marvin Gaye's protest was more introspective and layered, Curtis Mayfield's was the exact opposite. It was direct, it was funky, and it came straight from the street corner. So he left the smoother sound of his group, the Impressions, behind, and his solo work became all about this hard-hitting funk. He had no time for being subtle. His lyrics weren't metaphors, they were headlines. You listen to a track like, Don't Worry If There's a Hell Below, We're All Gonna Go, and what you're hearing is a raw, unapologetic soundtrack for the Black Power movement. He was channeling the anger and the urgency of the city right onto the record. And that brings us to our third titan, Stevie Wonder. If Gaye was the prophet and Mayfield was the preacher, then Stevie Wonder, well, he was the architect. He was the sonic visionary who pushed the whole genre into brand new, uncharted territory. Once he finally gained total creative control over his music, Wonder basically invented what you could call cinematic soul. Take a song like Living for the City. He doesn't just tell you about injustice, he drops you right into the middle of it. He's using sirens, shouting, synthesizers. He built entire worlds with sound. It was this visceral, storytelling experience that forced you to confront the reality he was singing about. So, and this is a really crucial point. This wasn't just about changing the lyrics. The entire sound, the very structure of the music itself, had to evolve to carry the weight of these new, heavier messages. I mean, just look at the shift right here, across the board. The personal, romantic lyrics of the 60s, they became political and about the community. That neat 3-minute radio single, it exploded into these sprawling, epic concept albums. And those polished orchestral strings were pushed aside for the raw experimental sounds of synthesizers and wah-wah pedals. It was a complete transformation, from glossy to gritty.
And this massive pivot didn't just define an era of music. Its impact is still shaping the stuff we listen to right now, today.
Because this was the moment the role of a popular artist fundamentally changed. The job wasn't just to entertain anymore. For the first time on this kind of scale, the entertainer also had a responsibility to be an activist, a voice for the voiceless. And you can trace a direct line, a clear lineage through modern music history. It starts with Marvin Gaye asking what's going on in 71. It leads to Public Enemy demanding we fight the power in 89. And it continues all the way to Kendrick Lamar's powerful anthem of resilience, All Right, in 2015. They all stand on the shoulders of these soul giants. Ultimately, that's the real genius of this entire movement. They created music that worked on two levels at the exact same time. They proved that you could absolutely make someone move their feet on the dance floor, while at the same time, you were moving their conscience. And maybe the ultimate takeaway is this powerful idea from another musical pioneer, Fela Kuti. Music is the weapon of the future. The soul artists of the 70s didn't just write songs, they forged that weapon. And its power to inspire, to challenge, and to change the world, well, it resonates just as strongly as ever today.